Bambi's mother is a constant in his life up until her death. She watches over him, enclosing him in a safe environment to develop himself. She takes him on trips around the woods to meet the animals and make friends. During these encounters, Bambi's mother is never far away. It's not until the first winter that Bambi really gets to venture out alone to play with his friends. And even then, we get the sense that nothing bad could really happen. The ambiance is light and the music playful. The safety felt by the presence of his mother is still there, even in her absence. Following this scene, we see the struggles of winter. A long, grueling search for food, one that eventually ends in hunger. Bambi's spirit begins to fall, but his mother comforts him, telling him,
"It seems long, but it won't last forever."
The scene is also the last time we see the mother and child together, as we saw them before. The following scene will bring about the end of Bambi's first winter and his relationship with his mother. Sheer bliss crosses Bambi's face as the first blades of grass begin to show on the ground, but his mother hears something in the distance. She tells Bambi to get back to the thicket, and the two of them run. As they run, Bambi's mother calls out,
Faster! Faster, Bambi! Don't look back! Keep running! Keep running!
We hear a gunshot as Bambi disappears alone behind a snow pile. There's something so chilling about the last few lines of Bambi's mother. She's calling out to him in desperation. A final message to keep going should she fall behind. Here I'll take a moment to define what Bambi's mother really is. Stories like these, stories that are very symbolic, tend to deal more closely with what's called the archetypes. You can think of an archetype as a very one-dimensional character, something like the mother, the father, the child, the hero, the trickster, the wise old man, or the jester. Those are just a few, but you kind of get the idea. Many of the characters you'll see in movies or otherwise will be some combination of these archetypes. You can also conceptualize it in this way. Your mother likely embodies the archetype of the great mother, at least to the extent that she's caring, protecting, nurturing, and knowledgeable. So back to Bambi's mother. She is a representation of the archetype of the great mother. You could say she plays the part. So whatever the movie says about Bambi's mother, it's also trying to say that about the great mother. The movie is trying to describe the archetype through a representation of the archetype. Well, what's the movie trying to say? That the great mother dies? That doesn't really make any sense. Or does it? When was the last time your mother packed your lunch, or brushed off your knees after a fall, or tucked you into bed? When was the last time she picked you up for a hug, or kissed your ouchies to make them feel better, or drove you to the playground so you could play with the other kids? Likely a long time ago. Is your mother gone? She might still be alive, but what happened to the mother that did all those things for you? Where did she go? Well, you didn't need her anymore. One day you could tie your own shoes, pack your own lunch, and you didn't even want her kisses anymore. I bet that was hard on her. She had to let the dependent child in you die, and she had to let the nurturing mother in her wither away. Sure, she might have enjoyed the freedom that came with not having to do all those things, but nonetheless it was a loss. The loss of an identity. The loss of part of her. Hopefully she's doing alright though, and she's found other things to occupy herself with. Hopefully the death of the great mother inside her was graceful. Hopefully when it was time for you to head out on your own, she didn't hold you back. Hopefully when it was time for her to fade into the background, she did. Symbolically, that's the death of the great mother. And that's what the movie is trying to tell us. There will come a time in your life where the great mother fades away. She'll be gone, but you won't really notice. You'll be too preoccupied by all the things you're doing without her. She'll watch from the background, watch you become the person that you are. She might even be proud that you don't need her anymore. She might be lonely in your absence. But you're not concerned with that. You're an independent individual with a complex social life. You don't need her to help you brush your teeth or help you put your socks on. It would just be weird if she did that. See, in some sense you already know what I'm telling you. You know it in an embodied way. It's not articulated, it's just something that you act out. You know that your mom isn't supposed to stick around forever. She's not supposed to stick around forever, and she's not going to stick around forever. That's what the death of Bambi's mother symbolizes. The end goal of the Great Mother is the destruction of the Great Mother. The hope of your mother is that you won't need her, that you can stand on your own two legs and live your life without her. Bambi's mother's last few lines illustrate this point quite well. Don't look back. Keep running. The way she says these lines drives chills through my spine, because it's as if she knew she wouldn't make it. She knew she would die, and she didn't want Bambi to see it. She knew the death of the Great Mother was inevitable. She knew this would happen eventually. She just didn't want to worry Bambi with all the details. She knew that would only haunt him. She made her fall from grace as graceful as she could. Don't look back, Bambi, because I'm not going to make it. Keep running, Bambi, because I'd just slow you down. I love you, Bambi, but it's time for me to go. With these final words, she exits his life and leaves him to fend for himself. The death of his mother leaves Bambi bereft and alone in a cold, dark forest, until he stumbles upon his father, who frightens him at first, and then speaks the cold truth of his mother's death into reality. The next 3 words are equally chilling.
Come, my son.
This is the first time in the story that Bambi's father actually claims him as his own. And with those words, Bambi begins the next stage of his development with the Great Father.